Good morning and welcome to the Abhidhamma class in English delivered by our esteemed teacher, Most Venerable Bulwala Ratanathiri Thero of Villava Dharma Vijayaram, Sri Lanka. And these classes are hosted by Sanghakaya Foundation in India. So I welcome all listeners on the Sanghakaya Foundation YouTube channel. We are live streaming this lesson, and anyone who would join us directly through Zoom. So without further delay, we are ready to start our third lesson on the deeper or higher teachings of the Buddha. If you do have any questions, you can scan the QR code that appears on the screen and share your questions or ideas with comments with us. So I humbly and gratefully and most respectfully invite Venerable Bulwala Ratanathiri Thero to start our third lesson in the current series. Over to you, Reverend.
Good morning. Let's start our Abhidhamma lesson today. We are going to discuss Ayatana Vibhanga in the Vibhanga Prakarana. Before to start to discuss Ayatana Vibhanga, I would like to elicit your mind about the nature of Abhidhamma or background of Abhidhamma to make it easy to understand. Some says Abhidhamma is not the Buddha's word. They are the scholastic. Abhidhamma is the scholastic work, some scholars say. But Abhidhamma is a Buddha's word. Abhidhamma was preached by the Buddha in the Tawatimsa heaven to his mother god and other gods. So some people say that Abhidhamma is not for the human. Abhidhamma is for the gods, because the Buddha delivered Abhidhamma in the heaven. But Buddha taught Abhidhamma to Venerable Arahant Sariputta. Sariputta taught Abhidhamma to 500 disciples. Then the Abhidhamma tradition began in that way. Abhidhamma is not a far-reaching doctrine. It is not a metaphysical doctrine. As I mentioned, doctrine in Abhidhamma can be found in several suttas, like Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Satyavibhanga Sutta, and Maha Nidana Sutta, Samviti Sutta, Dasuttara Sutta, Maha Vedalla Sutta, Tulla Vedalla Sutta. So many suttas I can point out. They are contain the doctrines where the Abhidhamma contain. So in suttas, Buddha showed his middle pathway towards Nibbana. What is the pathway towards Nibbana? It is called Visuddhimagga or Tisiksa, Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Sila, morality, Samadhi, concentration, Panya, wisdom. That is the pathway towards Nibbana. In sutras like Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Satyavibhanga Sutta, Buddha has showed this pathway, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, in different names, like Eightfold Pathway, Middle Pathway. These pathway, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, it is there described in Abhidhamma in deep conscience. In Abhidhamma also, we find these Tisikha, Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Tisikha, Sila, Samadhi, Panya avoid two streams, that is Sāsvatavāda and Uccedavāda. In Abhidhamma also, Abhidhamma analyze the matters in detail to refuse eternalism and also nihilism, Sāsvatavāda and Uccedavāda. What is Sāsvatavāda, eternalism? During the time of the Buddha, in Brahmin, in Upanishad philosophy, in Brahmanism, they believed eternal soul. That soul transmigrate from birth to birth, and it associate one day with Mahabrahma, that is their emancipation. That is Sāsvatavāda. Buddha refused or denied that Sāsvatavāda, it is a one way of extreme. So Buddha was not an extremist. He refused this Sāsvatavāda. In Abhidhamma, Buddha wanted to show by analyzing the matters, phenomena. By analyzing phenomena, Buddha showed there is no soul, eternal soul. Buddha showed it by analyzing. In nihilism, people believe after that there is no more, nothing. Wholesome deeds, unwholesome deeds, they are valueless. They are not effective. Buddha showed in Abhidhamma, by synthesizing the matters, he showed there is some existence, there is continuity in the phenomena. Buddha showed in Abhidhamma by synthesizing matters. I will show it. Now, suppose our previous lessons that we did about the four ultimate realities in Abhidhamma. Can you remember the four ultimate realities? Chitta, Cetasika, Rupa, Nibbana. Chitta, consciousness. Cetasika, mental factor. Rupa, matter. Nibbana is Nibbana. Chitta, Cetasika, Rupa, Nibbana. The first ultimate reality is Chitta. Can you remember how many consciousness are there in ultimate reality Chitta? There are 89 or 121 consciousness. What did the Buddha do there? Buddha analyzed consciousness into 89 and or 121. That is the Abhidhamma theory, Abhidhamma method. It is called the analytical method of Abhidhamma. Why would they analyze those things? Because Buddha want to show that there is no soul or entity in the person. To show that, Buddha analyze. Now, think of those 89 consciousness, how Buddha synthesized them to refuse the nihilism. Because Buddha wanted to show there is continuity in phenomena. There is continuity in phenomena due to the dependent originations, cause and effect. So Buddha showed it by synthesizing. When we take 89 consciousness, he synthesized those consciousness to show that they survive for a while. They continue for a while in many worlds, in human worlds, in Brahmaloka, and heavens and hells. He wanted to show there is continuity, existence. So by using his synthetical method, he showed it, or he refuse that nihilism, Uchchedavada. So Buddha refused Sasatavada, eternalism, by using his analytical method in Abhidhamma. Buddha refused nihilism by sympathizing or by using his synthetical method in Abhidhamma. Now think of the 89 consciousness, the world, the functions. Sense sphere consciousness. There are 54. The Buddha synthesized. There are 54 sense sphere consciousness that functions or survive, exist in a human world, in heaven, or in hell. They are called sense sphere consciousness. Karma, Kamavata. Sense sphere consciousness. Now take the sense sphere consciousness 54. There are wholesome, unwholesome consciousness. Wholesome consciousness and unwholesome consciousness and functional consciousness. Now take wholesome consciousness and unwholesome consciousness. Wholesome and unwholesome. It connects with what? It connects with sila, morality. People understand unwholesome activities. If we commit unwholesome activities, the karma vipaka is there to be infected. He has to pay to the karma vipaka. So, in this sense sphere consciousness, Buddha synthesizing those sense sphere consciousness, Buddha showed what? The sila, morality. Buddha showed sila, the first step of the middle pathway. Sila, morality. There is ethical value because the people believe in karma and vipaka. Now, think of the consciousness, they function in Brahmaloka, fine material consciousness. How many fine material consciousness can you remember? There are 15 fine material consciousness. They are divided into wholesome, resultant, and functional. Vitatta, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata. Vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata. In that way, there are 15 fine material consciousness. Those fine material consciousness survive in the Brahmas, in Brahmaloka, in material Brahmaloka. And in the human world, mendicants, person who engage in meditations, when they, after develop their mindfulness, they start Kasina Bhavana by selecting a Kasina object according to their character. The mendicant start Kasina Bhavana, and he can develop those consciousness. Vitakka, Vitara, Piti, Sukha, Ekaggata, Patamajjan, absorptions. They are called jhana absorptions. So there are 5 jhanas, absorptions. The mendicant enter by engaging in Kasina Bhavana to 5 absorption, 5 jhana. Then think of the immaterial consciousness. There are 12 immaterial consciousness, wholesome, resultant, functions. When mendicant take object to practice meditation, it take space as object. Akasananchayatana, Vijnananchayatana, Akincanyayatana, Neva Nasanyayatana. Then he take consciousness as the object. And he develop those 4 jhanas. They are called samapatti. So this immaterial consciousness, fine material consciousness, and immaterial consciousness all together can be known as samadhi, concentration. So Buddha showed sila and samadhi. By analyzing and synthesizing the subject matter. Then think of supramundane consciousness, lokottara. There are 8 supramundane consciousness. The supramundane consciousness, it is connect with what? Wisdom, Panya. The mendicant developed the 7 factors of enlightenment, Sapta Buddhanga Dhamma. So it is called Panya. So Buddha showed in Abhidhamma that middle pathway towards Nibbana as Sila, Samadhi, Panya, in deep sense. In suttas, we don't find such details, or we don't find such analysis. In Abhidhamma, Buddha showed well these Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. So Buddha's aim by preaching Abhidhamma was to get the person to understand Nibbana. To understand Nibbana, we have to follow up the T6 Sila, Samadhi, Panya, and avoiding those two extremes, eternalism and nihilism. That is why it is called the middle pathway. No extremes there. In Vibhanga Prakarana, we discussed in our previous lesson Kanda Vibhanga. In Kanda Vibhanga, again the Buddha analyzed the being, the whole being. Buddha analyzed and showed, he refused and showed there was no any entity or soul, eternality. Buddha refused. Buddha showed there is no entity or soul. Refused Shasatva. And by synthesizing the matters, he showed there is existence, there is continuity by combining according to the dependent originations, cause and effect, reason and effect. So those subject matters, phenomena, they combine and they survive for a while. And he refused the nihilism, Uchcheda Vada. In Ayatana Vibhanga also, Buddha wanted to show there is no soul in the person. Buddha wanted to refuse again eternalism. And Buddha want to help the mendicants who engage in vipassana bhavana. Mendicant who engage in vipassana bhavana, Buddha wanted to help by analyzing those bases. There are 12 bases. What are those bases? Ayatana. Institutes. What is institute? Institute, it is the place where the persons and the things, equipments, get all together and do some task combining all of them in institutes. If it is educational institutes, teachers, students, and decks, chairs, and so on, they do some task, teamwork there. So these bases are also same. These bases, they get together and do some task. It is called bases. There are 12 bases. I is the base, chakku. You know, I is the base, ayatan, institutes, where something gathered in it to do some task. What is the task of I? That is vision. Vision is the task of the I. In Abhidhamma, in Vibhanga Prakarana, Buddha concerned this base I, not only the human, but also the other beings also. Now think of the beings in the world. In zoology, we study evolution of the being, protozoa, coelenterata, like that, vertebrata, invertebrata. We study about the beings. Now think of their eye, the structure of their eye. It is different from being to being. So Buddha concerned all those eyes in this base. You know what are the parts or what is the structure of the eye in medical faculties, in laboratories. We study about those things in science. Buddha analyzed this eye into tiny parts to show that there is no ego or soul, that is nature, I. And ear, another one is ear, sota. Ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, and object also concerned as the basis here. I. Now, eye and visible object. Eye is also a base here, and visible object is also the base here. So eye and visible object. Now think of the visible object, the base visible object. Where is the visible object? It is outside, in the environment. So Buddha analyzed this visible object also into tiny parts. Now we studied in the ultimate reality matter, there are 28 material elements. In that way, Buddha analyzed and showed there is no ego or soul or entity, invisible object. And here, now you know the difference among the beings here. The Buddha analyzed here also into different parts, and he showed that there is no soul. And sound. Sound is also based here because it going to do some task. Sound is where it is also outside in the environment. Different sound from different directions. Sound from drums, musical instruments, thunder. Like that, there are different sounds. Buddha analyzed this bass sound also and showed that there is no Atman or soul. The nose also same. It is different from person to person and being to being. Buddha counted all those kind of noses and showed that there is no entity or ego or soul. And smell, smell also, they are in environment. Bad smell, unbearable smell, sweet smell, different kinds of smell. Smell from trees, smell from leaves, smell from soil, smell from ash. So different smell, they are in the environment. Buddha analyzed those things and showed there is no, again, entity or soul. And tongue, you know the function of the tongue. And you know the structure of the sun. As students, if you do science, you know the structure of the tongue. What are the parts of the tongue? And you know the structure of the tongue like invertebrate, coelenterate, and arthropoda. You can understand the tongue that they have. Snakes' tongue is different. So Buddha counted all those tongues and analyzed and showed there is no entity or eternality or soul. Then taste. You know taste sour, sweet, salt, bitter. Those are the fundamental taste. By combining those tastes and create different taste when we cook meals and sweets, they create different taste. So Buddha analyzed those tastes also and showed there is no entity. That is the continuity of cause and effect. There is continuity of cause and effect. Not there is no any entity. Then body, kaya, body, our body, human body, another means body. And when you think of the microorganisms, they also have body, but we can't see in our naked eye. We have to use microscope. They also body. So all such kind of body are concerned here. Buddha analyzed those body and showed there is no ego, no entity, no Atman, no soul. Then contact, first. Contact is also you feel different contact, soft contact, rough contact. If you rub your hand on the stone, you have contact, it is unbearable. So such kind of contact is there, but it is dependent origination. They are dependent origination because there is no entity, no soul contact. Now, when you think of those 5 faculties, ear, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. Now it is the being. And another one is mind. So all together, again the Buddha concerned about 5 aggregates, the being. What did the Buddha do here? Buddha did analyzed and synthesized. Analyzed to show there is no entity or soul, to refuse eternalism. And we synthesize those matters, they continue according to cause and effect. In the theory of dependent origination, Paticca they continue. So Buddha refused Ucheda Bad. And A visible object, sound, smell, taste, contact. They are outside. They are phenomena in the environment. It is the world's environment. So Buddha analyzed this world altogether and showed there is no entity or ego or soul, and refused eternalism. And again, Buddha synthesized some certain matters, phenomena, and showed their functions to survive according to the dependent origination. Get together some phenomena and they functions together according to the dependent originations. Reason and effect, cause and effect. So in this Ayatana Vibhanga, Buddha showed there is no entity or Atman, and there is continuation of phenomena according to the dependent origination. So Buddha get the mendicant who engage in vipassana bhavana. Buddha made it easy to understand him that eternalism and nihilism are extremes. We have to avoid them. And by avoiding those two extremes, we have to think of our body, our life, our environment, our world being in the middle. Sitting between those two extremes, we have to think, we have to investigate, we have to find out, we have to discover our life by engaging vipassana bhavana. Now, in Ayatana Vibhanga, Buddha discusses nature of the being and its environment. Being and the environment. Now take the mind base. The mind base is the consciousness. It has been described or analyzed in various ways. Now again, we have to go back to our previous lessons. Find material consciousness. Can you remember? 54 find material consciousness. We find rooted consciousness and non-rooted consciousness. What are the rooted consciousness? What are the roots? There are 6 roots. Anger, anger is a root. Anger. And delusion. Delusion is a root. And desire or craving is a root. Craving, non-craving. Anger, non-anger. Delusion, non-delusion. So those are the roots, 6 roots. Somanassa sahagata, ditthigata, sampayutta, asankarika. One consciousness accompanied with joy, and prompted. In that way we studied Somanassa sahagata, ditthigata, vipayutta, asankarika. Somanassa sahagata, ditthigata, sampayutta, ditthigata, vipayutta, asankarika. In that way he studied. And unwholesome consciousness. They are rooted in greed, anger, and delusion. Greed, anger, and delusion. And Somanassa sahagata, jnana sampayutta, asankarika. And sasankarika. Those consciousness rooted in non-greed, non-anger, non-delusion. So this consciousness mind, the base mind, has been analyzed in that way, the rooted and non-rooted, wholesome and unwholesome, wholesome and unwholesome, wholesome consciousness, unwholesome consciousness. How many wholesome consciousness? There are 24 wholesome consciousness. How many unwholesome consciousness? There are 12 unwholesome consciousness. And also there are functional consciousness. Functional also. Functional consciousness emerge in the mind of Arahant. When Arahant, they never engage in unwholesome activities, they engage in wholesome activities, but those wholesome activities does not create karma and vipaka. No karma and vipaka there. Because they are Arahant. They have abolished raga, dosa, moha, greed, and then delusion. So there is no karma and vipaka, but they engage in wholesome activities. Now suppose Arahant like Sariputta, Ananda, Moggallana, Mahakasapa, they engage in wholesome activities. But those consciousness did not produce karma and vipaka. They're called avyaka. So the mind, the base mind, he analyzed in that way, wholesome, unwholesome, and abhyakata. Then sense sphere, fine material sphere, immaterial sphere, supra mundane. In that way, the mind has been synthesized. Consciousness has been synthesized, analyzed and synthesized. Sense sphere, that is human being, human world, and heavens and hills, where the beings live there, gods, humans, and persons who are in hell, they have such kind of mind, sense sphere, and fine material sphere, the Brahmaloka, material Brahmaloka, Brahmas who bear body. They have such consciousness. And immaterial, the Brahmas, they don't have body. Akasanantayatana, Vinyanantayatana, Akintanyayatana, Nivasanyana, Sanyayatana, those Brahmalokas. They are mind. The Buddha analyzed here all those kind of men. And the supramending also, Lokottara. When the mendicant enter into Soan state, enter into Sapurdagami, Anagami, Arihat, the way and result, Magga and Phala. Soan, Magga and Phala, the way and result. There they arise, they are consciousness. There are 8 consciousness. Supramundane consciousness, 8 or 40. We discussed in our previous lessons. Supramundane. And the materials are, mind can be analyzed as pleasure, suffering, joy, grief, equanimity, that is pleasure, sukha, suffering, dukkha, pain, joy, somanassa, grief, domanassa, equanimity, upekha. In that way, we can analyze and synthesize the mind, the consciousness. So Buddha explained in that way. And Buddha explained the functions of those bases. Eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness. Now, how they function, how those bases functions in one institute with the state. Now take I, if there is object in outside, then what happened? That object doesn't come to the eye, but in the eye there is the sensitive place. It is called Chakku Pasad. Chakku Pasad. So in Chakku Pasad, there are contacts because of the consciousness. Consciousness comes to the door of the eye and contact it, and there arise consciousness. It is eye consciousness. So eye consciousness is not the soul. It is originated dependent. Dependent originated. Eye consciousness originated because of the object outside, because of mind, because of eye. In that way, other consciousness are also same. Ear consciousness. Now sound came different in waves to the ear. There is sensitive place in ear. Then there arises consciousness. It is not a permanent thing. Ear consciousness is not a permanent thing. It is also being changed. In that way, you can understand nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness. In that way, what did the Buddha do here? Again, he analyzed. He analyzed to show that there is no soul. And then Buddha analyzed again into different ways: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind element. Introduce the new one, the mind element, mind as an element, and mind consciousness element. Another part, mind consciousness element. Then again he analyzed eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and happy, unhappy, mind element, mind consciousness element. And again, he analyzed eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, mind element. Mind consciousness element, wholesome and unwholesome. Then again, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, happy, unhappy, mind element. We take again mind as element. Mind consciousness element, both mind consciousness and element. Characteristic of mind, element. Wholesome, unwholesome, and avyakata. In that way, avyakata means it happened in the arahant faculties, avyakata. In that way, the Buddha analyzed the functions of those ayatana or the sense bases, 12 sense bases, in deep concern to show there is no any entity or permanent thing, soul. So Buddha wanted to show this ear and nose, tongue, either 5 faculties and 6 faculties, not only faculties, whole body is changing, impermanence. Because of impermanence, yada nityan tan dukkha. If it is impermanent, there arise unsatisfactory dukkha. Now suppose our eye. Some person can't see. They are blind. So because of that, they suffer. And when we get old, what happens? Our vision, we lose our vision in the eye. So there is, because of impermanence, that is nature of eye. Because of impermanence, there arise unsatisfactory dukkha. If it is unsatisfactory, it is non-soul. Because if it is my eye does not survive as I want. I can't manipulate my eye as I want because it is decay. I can't stop it. That is because non-soul. Here also same. And nose also same. You know the different diseases of eyes, ear, nose, so many diseases we have. Because of that, we suffer. We suffer. The Buddha wanted to show tilakkana in phenomena here. By analyzing these sense bases, Buddha helped the mendicant who engaged in vipassana bhavana. Buddha get his mind to understand the impermanence, anitya, unsatisfactory, dukkha, anatma, non-soul phenomena. I think time is up now. Thank you for listening to me. Blessing of the triple gems be showered upon you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Merit, to our esteemed teacher, Most Venerable Bulwan Ratnasiri Thero. for another lesson in Abhidhamma today. If our Dhamma listeners have any questions, you may use the QR code that appears on the screen to send in your questions and comments. You may also send it through Zoom chat or on the YouTube live channel where we are live streaming. I'll just take a look to see if there are any questions. We do not have any questions for today, but feel free to send us your questions or comments on the Abhidhamma lessons using this Google form. And just another invitation to our dear Dhamma listeners. If it pleases you, you can also make donations to Sri Panyasara Dhamma Vijaya Sahana Padanama, which is a community relief fund maintained by Venerable Bulwala Ratana Siritero, and the details are here on the screen if you want to make your donations. So until next week, we bid you a blessed week, and may the Triple Gems bless you. This is the end of our third Abhidhamma class in the first cycle of dwelling into advanced Abhidhamma topics. So we'll see you next Sunday, same time. Until then, I would like to say that much merit to our Dhamma listeners as well as our esteemed teacher. So I think I was able to share the last few slides. So I'm just going to go back to the slides. There it is. So there is the detailed page on the details for donations. And that's it. So I will end the session now, Reverend Sir.
Okay. Right.